Hello, friends. Hello, runners. Hope all of you are doing well. This is Coach Bala here, coming to you at the beginning of MISO 2, which is a very uh, great point in the training cycle. Completing MISO 1, it just means that you have been well prepared for the rigors of training that is about to come. So, historically, we have seen that folks who have crossed MISO 1 have increased their probability of a successful training, completing a successful training by almost 2x. So all of you who are here listening to this and getting ready for MISO 2, congratulations, well done. One huge milestone in your pocket in this finding your milestone journey. So today, I want to talk about two main topics and then one third topic that just came to my mind recently. And those are one, let us continue our discussion on understanding this training plan. So if you think about it, in the last couple of weeks, I have been touching on this, trying to come to this understanding of what are we trying to do from different angles. So there was one angle that I had talked about, this inside out transformation that is taking place, which was one side of the equation. Then the second side, which we talked about in the last call, was about the aerobic, um, uh, working out in an aerobic zone, an oxygen rich environment. Why CP helps us so that you don't get into a shock. So that was the second sort of way in which we were looking at our training plan and why we are focused on CP and how to build your engine and that type of stuff. So this week, I want to talk about looking at the training plan from a perspective of how you need to look at it, where you typically, a typical runner makes a mistake, and as a result, how that exacerbates as things move through through the season, and how you can avoid it right now. So that's one thing I want to talk about today. And then the second thing I want to talk about is there is an RHWB is nothing if not it is in terms of maintaining certain traditions that has come up bottom up. That's something we have done it all the time. So there is one important tradition that I want to launch for this season and want to talk a little bit about it before you start seeing the outcome of that. And then thirdly, a little bit on nutrition. We had a good discussion in my cohort recently, and people are having some good feedback. So I thought, why not a little introduction on that? And then we talk about it in a little bit more detail in my next message. So let's start with the first one. Another way of looking and how to observe and how to understand and be on top of the training plan. So the way I would explain this, folks, our training plan, think of it. This metaphor, I say it every season and it sticks well with most runners. And it's good to keep reminding ourselves. So our training plan can be visualized something like this. Our training is like a train that is starting from New York City and its destination is San Francisco. So it's going to run through the country's breadth and reach there by end of the season. Or in other words, the start line is in San Francisco of the race, start line of the season is in New York City, and the train has started moving. So if you think about it, you are in like 1 week MISO, one MISO is done, two training, rest week is done. So 5 weeks into the journey, that means you're sort of started moving from New York and probably you are somewhere at the edge of Pennsylvania, or maybe even touching Ohio, maybe if you're taking that route. So the thing about this training train, if we have to use this metaphor, is that this train has no stations in between. That's one of the things about this training train. Or in other words, it doesn't stop. The train just keeps moving. And the second characteristic of this training train is that it continues to pick up speed as it goes towards the destination. Or in other words, our training plan is designed in such a way that it slowly increases in intensity, but it keeps increasing in intensity. That's the idea. It takes you to the start point of the race that you've signed up for. And you start very low and you end up to a point where you're able to take on that race. So it increases in intensity, both in terms of distance as well as in terms of the type of run. like how fast you run or how strong you run, the strength workouts, everything. There is a crescendo that is we are slowly building towards. So, or in other words, as a passenger in this train, or as the person who is going through this training journey, your requirement is to make sure that you simply be on the train always. Just being on the train is all that is required. Now, what does it mean? How does that manifest itself? Being on the train means doing some of these things diligently, without procrastinating and without fail. What is that? One, not missing any of your activities as much as you can. Not miss any activities. If you don't miss any activities given to you that we have designed for you, we have thought through the requirements with our own expertise and experience, training hundreds of runners now. And we have provided that with a scientific base. It's not like just out of our own sort of volition we created. It's got a scientific base. This is what we have been coached in our certification, how to write and deliver plans. So we use that as a basis, use our own experience, put some little bit of RHWB, should I say, sauce on it, so that it makes it ours. And then we deliver that plan. So we have already made the tough part, which is thinking for you. All you need to do is simply read instructions every day and follow it to the T. You do that, you are on the training, you are on this training train already. You don't have to worry about anything. You don't have to worry about your destination, how difficult it will be. Will I reach my destination? Will I reach in time? All of that, don't worry about it. The train driver, which is us, we are taking care of all of that. You just need to be on board the train, that's all. So by doing that, is first thing, as I said, is making sure you're not missing out on any of the activities. Not just missing out, but also completing the activity as told to you. That includes the right mileage, the right type of runs, the strength training, and the rest day. All of that are part of the training cycle. So that's point number one. The second thing you can do to help yourself to be on the training journey is be on top of the messages that I'm sending you. We do say it is a mandatory thing to listen. So think about from my side. We look at your runs. We try to manage the training plan. On top of that, I take special effort to make these messages every week live, not the ones recorded earlier in other seasons. Every season, every week, I record, because every time things are different. So I try to make sure that I customize it, and also my knowledge is increasing. So it's better to give you the latest and greatest of what I have or what my coaches have that tell me, right? So I provide you in a platter. It's a 20-25 minute weekend message to customize your thinking process to be on the train for that week. So your job is to simply listen to it, think about it, and if you agree, execute it. Now, one way of being in the train is simply, I send it by the weekend. This time it got delayed. I'm sending it to you on Monday. And apologies, got something, they pulled me out during the weekend. But the idea here is the first run you do on a week, you just have to listen to it with your microphone, with your headphone. It's 20-25 minutes. By the time you finish your first run, this is also done. And when you're running, when you listen to it, you are able to process it better because you're focused. That's all you need to do. If you can't do it the first run, if you're not comfortable during the run, no problem. Do it in the car ride to a running point, or come back, or do it when you are in transit. There are many ways in which you can execute on it. The one way that you should not do is think and procrastinate that, yes, I will listen to it later. This listening to it later has two problems. Later never comes. Why? Because the train is picking up pace. As the train is picking up pace, if you choose to get out of the train, this training train, what that means is you're not able to keep up with the pace of the train when you chose to get out. But by the act of getting out, things are not getting easy for you. The gap between the train and you it's getting wider and wider by the day. So if you get out of the train for whatever reason, and you think that I will catch up, 90% of the time you won't be able to catch up, and the train just leaves you. And how it manifests itself is you start missing runs, you don't understand what the coach is telling you, the coach is getting frustrated with you, and you are asking silly questions that should have been asked in week 1, but you're coming and asking in week 6. So the coach is thinking, this person, is he even serious? Does this person even require my special attention? Or should we just move this person to a self-serve platform so that, anyway, he's not listening to what I'm saying. So what's the point of coaching this person? That's a natural reaction to a coach. Understand, folks, almost every one of us are volunteering our time. We don't work for money. We don't work for any other recognition. We only work because it gives us pleasure to drive impact in your life. If you don't want to accept that, then that fundamental social contract is broken. So there is no incentive for a coach to do a little bit extra to sort of make you a successful, amazing human being. Yeah. So that is why it's a contract here, right? So you need to show that you're on top of the train. If you are not, then the coach will know very soon, either by your runs or by your knowledge or by your questions. It's very clear that you are just out of the train. So that's why I would suggest, to summarize this important point, remember that this train is not going to stop. It's going to keep going. It's easy when you're on the train because you don't have to worry about it. We have done the thought process for everything. The incremental sort of work required from you is very small, so you don't even feel the difference because you're getting ready for it. It's a positive spiral that you're building every day. As you increase, you're getting better at it mentally, physically, and every other way. So it gets easier and easier for you to take on that incremental load. And before you realize, you're realizing, oh my God, I'm already in Colorado. I thought I just left New York. I'm already doing 6, 7, 8 mile runs, which I never thought was possible. That's what you would experience. And I want you all to experience that. And the way to do that is simply be on the train. Don't miss out on any activity. Think, execute, listen to the messages, read the WhatsApp coach corner for, we don't flood it, not the runners, larger group. That is for a social connect. If you can choose to, it's more like a public square, the main WhatsApp group for all runners where all 900 of us are there. That's like a public square. You don't have to read all the messages. You're sitting in a public square and people are talking in front of you. When you are sitting, whoever is talking, you can listen to it and keep going. But if you're the person who's interested in listening to everything that is happening in public square, be our guest. But there is no requirement you have to read everything on the runner side group. But in the coach corner group is meant specifically for you. It is curated. It is meant few messages a week that I'm expecting you to read through, including these messages. You be on top of it every week. You are on the train, and when you're on the train, you will reach the destination. So think of your training journey like that. The second thing that we will launch shortly this week are the metrics dashboard. So the idea behind this, folks, at RHWB, this has been there from season 1. We believe that whatever you measure, you improve, sort of the metrics that matter. So that's how the idea of metrics dashboard came up. So the idea of metrics dashboard is every coach, this is only for the pro runners because these are the only runners that coach can are connected with. We don't know, like in light runners, you are on your own. So we don't know what you're doing in terms of your training progression. But for those of you who are in pro runners, we give you every 3 weeks, like at the end of every MISO, we provide you 2 scores, a quantitative score and a qualitative comment on your training journey. So we look at your last 3 weeks. For instance, we are at the end of MISO 1. We look at your last 3 weeks of MISO performance, and we provide you on a scale of 1 to 5 where you are in the training program. It's not a function of your speed. It's not a function of how good you run. It is purely a function of, are you on top of the train when it comes to following the activities that we're asking you to do. So if you have done everything, you haven't missed anything, you did. Most times people make a mistake. They do the strength training, but they don't enter it in Final Search by manually editing and just putting in the duration of your strength and how you felt. Very simple. But if you don't do this, Final Search doesn't record it. If Final Search doesn't record it, as far as we are concerned, you haven't done it. That's the only way we can confirm whether you've done it or not. So if you've done all this, you've done your runs, you've done your strength training, everything for a given MISO, which is a 3-week cycle, you get a 5.0, which is walk on water. 4 means you missed some strength activities. We have a framework to sort of scale it. You missed a long run. Instead of 3 long runs, you did only 2. For some reason you missed, then you get a little more points taken away. If you have missed 1 or 2 weekday runs or not entered strength runs, all of this, certain scores are taken away. And if you get a 4, you're still very good, well above what you need to be. You're in great shape. If you get a 3, you're just meeting requirements, and anything below 3, you're sort of risk of falling off the train. That's what it means. And if you're 2 and below, that means you're already fallen off the train. Most likely coach is going to talk to you shortly about what your plans are for the season. So that is metrics dashboard. So we provided every MISO, and MISO 1 is for MISO 1, right? But when it comes to MISO 2, we provide you how you felt in how you did in MISO 2, but we also provide you a cumulative score of your training thus far, which is MISO 1 plus MISO 2. So think about having a 5.0 in MISO 1 is phenomenal, but think about 5.0 in MISO 2. That means for the last 6 weeks, you have not missed anything. That's phenomenal, isn't it? Or even a 4. And imagine getting a 5.0 at the end of the season. That means the entire season, you haven't missed anything. So some of you might be wondering, is it even possible to get a 5.0 for the entire season? And I'm here to tell you, folks, there are not few, not handful, more than a handful of folks. I'm talking about up to 15% of the entire cohort, or 10% of the entire cohort, like about 70 to 90 runners typically end up with a season 5.0. How cool is that? That means for the last 16 weeks, they've never missed anything. They've been just focused. So what I'm saying is it is entirely possible to get a 5.0 season. I urge all of you to beat our record. I think the record is 65 or 70%. Don't quote me on that. That means at the end of the season, 65 or 70 runners got a 5.0 cumulative season. Why don't we shoot for 100? If we can get 100, that'll be phenomenal. Let's see how the season goes. Something tells me this time we might have a very high score. And lastly, the greatest of all is having multi-season 5.0. I mean, there are runners who have been with us for 4 or 5 seasons, and they have, when they look back at their 5 seasons, they have a multi-season 5.0. They have never missed anything for the last 5 seasons. That is sort of the platinum standard, so to speak. So I urge you all to look at your metrics dashboard when we release it shortly, a couple of days from now. Look at the quantitative score, understand what the coach is giving you a thought. Read the qualitative score, which is essentially a comment, a short tweet length comment that tells you what you're doing, what you have missed or what you have not missed. And so that helps you as a guiding feedback for the next MISO. That's the idea. And as you look through it, you have some measure for you to improve as you move forward. That's the idea of the metrics dash, and I hope all of you will make use of it. And then masters, we have closed admissions for all masters. I hope that you had adequately sort of got your parents in as found response. We already have a nice roster. We will be starting our master's program next week onwards. They will start their 10-week journey and they will end along with us on the race day, which is very exciting. Masters, welcome all masters to the program, and can't wait to have you start working with you. And then finally on nutrition. Now, nutrition is a very important, large topic. And we had a good discussion in our cohort about how should we be thinking about nutrition. All the coaches have participated in my cohort discussion. They will share some thoughts on nutrition to all of you. We're also planning to do a small blog post on that nutrition, which we will release shortly. Please take a look at it. The general framework is all we can provide because nutrition is a very personal thing. But the idea behind it is, what do we need to do to make sure we can power our runs and we don't go into an energy deficient mode during the run? And what do you need to do after the run? So we are basically giving you a framework on what you need to do before the run, during the run, and after the run from a nutrition standpoint. And the general theme is you should try different things and make sure what works. What you should not do is run empty stomach in the fond hope that you can burn fat and then lose all your weight in double quick time. That's not something that is going to happen. It's highly unhealthy and it'll only cause injuries. That's one main theme that I can tell you. In terms of what works and what doesn't work, there are so many different things one can try out. Please take a look at the blog post that we will launch shortly for your thoughts, and definitely discuss within your cohort or in the running main group for each of us to share our own ideas in terms of what works and what doesn't work. Okay, so that's a short message for you this time. In summary, don't get off the training train. Be on top of it. Make sure you're on top of your messages. Make sure you do your runs and strength training and cross training and rest in time. Don't accumulate. Don't procrastinate. And look for the metrics dashboard that we'll be releasing shortly. Aim for a 5.0, which is walking on water. Thank you, guys. Enjoy this week. Enjoy Miso 2. All the very best. And I'll see you next weekend. Take care.